Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man, and as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. And I'm going to do today, I'm going to call this, entitle this video, Today's News, because from time to time I do a commentary on the headlines of the newspaper when I find them pretty interesting. And this one today is pretty interesting. It's from the Sun Time. And it reads this. In the 80s, there was a war on drugs. Now there has to be a war on guns. Now the question I have is, the war on drugs didn't go over too well. So what makes us think that the war on guns is going to fend well? Because again, me and Joe Spencer, my co-host on my talk show, Tell It Like It Is, we talk about these topics all the time. The issue is not, well, this is the surface issue. It's guns out there, and people are getting a hold of them, or they fall into the hands of bad guys, and bad things happen. That's the surface issue. The root issue is the issue that nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to touch, and that is the breakdown of the family structure. I'm not saying that in the 60s and the 70s it was a perfect world, but if you compare the 60s, 70s versus now, it's quite of a different world from each other, and things have gotten worse. And the issue is not, let's take all these guns off the street, because it's quite simple. It's just like in a penitentiary. People used to have readily available knives. Either they stole them from the kitchen or whatever, and they take them and inflict injury on another fellow inmate. So they kind of curbed that, and then guess what happened? They start to make makeshift knives, which they call shanks. So they still killing you. And that's what would probably be the same thing that happened on the streets. You take the guns off the street, they just go back to another form of another weapon, knife, or a stick or a club or whatever. I mean, the bottom line is the guns is the surface issue. The root issue is the breakdown of the family structure. 40 years ago, and I stress this, I don't expect nothing to stay the same, unfortunately, because some things need to change for the better. But the problem is the lack of the family structure, the breakdown of the family structure. Because 40 years ago, dad married mom, and they raised their kids together, because you have to create a balance. You got some people, some females, and not all, they think that I could do this all by myself. And it's like, you didn't make it all by yourself. You couldn't do that. So what makes you think that you can raise your son by yourself? He needs that balance. He needs a man in the house to keep him in check. And when he fall out of check, to get his ass whooped. I mean, it's plain and simple. It worked back then. But now you got these people not getting married. Mama's living with her mama and trying to raise her kid, her son, trying to raise him to be a man, which is absurd, because a man can't do a woman's job and a woman can't do a man's job. And that's why we have all this crime, because we got these guys 18 years later out there in the street doing whatever they want to, committing crimes, because they have nobody in the household to fear. Because when I did something wrong, me and my brothers and sisters, we feared daddy. We feared mama too. Probably mama more than daddy. So we need to start to implement programs that will help, I guess, boost or jumpstart that concept of, I like you. Let's see where this goes. We fall in love, get married. Then we start having our kids and raising them together, as opposed to, again, I'm casually, loosely having sex while I'm still living with my mama. Now here come the babies, and they're going to stay here, and me and mama going to raise them. I don't know where daddy at. That's the problem. So I find this kind of, unsettling, because it's like we still don't get it. It's not about taking the guns off the street. It's about enforcing in the household, because if you do your job within your household, you ain't got to worry about what's going on outside, because it's not going to affect your son. He's not going to go out there and get in a gang or start shooting up people, or out there having casual sex and having all these kids and not married and not in love with the person that he's having sex with and having babies with. So until we fix that problem, this is going to continue. I mean, this is just not going to stop. But I'm going to mention this, and then I'm going to sign off, because I thought this is pretty cool. Yesterday, me and Joe Spencer from our talk show, Tell It Like It Is, we talked about, the topic was called The Loss of Innocence. And I mentioned in that particular show that there was this episode of Sliders, and it's about a show. It came out about 10 years ago, about a show where this guy created this device to go into different alternate worlds. And they went into one alternate world where the women were in power. And that particular episode started off with them acknowledging the female president of the United States. And now keep in mind, this show was filmed at least about 10 years ago. And that particular person that they mentioned, who was who was the president of the United States, female, was Hillary Clinton. I said, wow, isn't that something? So it's interesting that their daughter, Bill, and Hillary's daughter, Chelsea, will be able to make a statement that I don't think another human being on the face of the planet can ever make, had made in the past and can't make in the future. That she can say that her father at some point in time and mother was the president of the United States. Man, how cool is that? But on that note, I'm going to sign off until next time. Take care. Thanks for watching. This is today's news.